What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Token, and today we are back with week 1 of the Ultimate Battle League, aka the UBLs. We will be going up against the Chicago Shaymin Sky and their coach Serene Grace. I'm extremely excited to get underway with week 1. This is the team builder first. First things first, we got to get up our team builder, and then tomorrow we will have our game. So it's so awesome that the UBL is finally here, and I hope you guys really do enjoy all the league format content finally being back on the channel after a good break. But alright, let's just hop right into it, as I don't really want to take up too much time with the team builder. I don't think it should be like so thoroughly explained. I'll go over the main gist of what I was thinking, and then we'll obviously go over my opponent's team as well. So let's do that. Matter of fact, so Serene Grace is going to have drafted a team of Mew, Arcanine, Mega Glalie, Scizor, Porygon 2, Drapion, Noivern, Hariyama, Gardevoir, Snorlax, and Seismitoad. So looking at my opponent's team, the main things that were kind of alarming me right off the bat was Mew. Initially I was like, alright, Mew is already unpredictable. It gets so many different Mews to its disposal, and then you add on the fact that it has a Z move. That's going to be really scary, so I'm hoping we're able to deal with that adequately. But then the other Pokemon that was also scaring me, actually, once I started doing calcs almost more, was Noivern, because Noivern actually is really fast. It hits really hard with a Life Orb, and I don't have the best matchup against it, so Noivern can actually be a really solid member for my opponent going into this matchup. So I'm hoping that we can deal with both of those threats adequately, and we can come out with a win in this game. So let's just hop into exactly what I was thinking going into this matchup. So first and foremost, we do have Libre, aka Hawlucha, as the first member that I added onto this team. And the reason why Hawlucha was first was because I think Hawlucha is our road to victory in this matchup. We need to use Hawlucha effectively to win this game, because it has a really good matchup against majority of my opponent's team, other than a very defensive Mew or a very defensive Arcanine. Other than both of those two, I feel like everything else gets dropped by Hawlucha after it's able to set up. And I do think there's Pokemon such as Scizor and such as Drapion that Hawlucha can set up on. So I'm hoping that we can get Hawlucha in a good position so we can go for a sub, start Swords Dancing, sub again, get our Unburden boost, and then try to sweep through my opponent's team. We will have to watch out though, because prior to getting the Unburden boost, Noivern will be the only Pokemon, but definitely a very threatening Pokemon that is faster. So we will have to be careful with that and pay attention to that. But other than that, barring Scarfers, nothing else will be faster than Hawlucha, even prior to its Unburden boost. So I'm hoping we can use it really well, and we really will need to. I'm running it Adamant because I am going with Drain Punch over High Jump Kick. The reason I had to make that switch was just because Hawlucha puts so much work in this game that I couldn't risk the fact that I may miss a High Jump Kick and then it just ruined my entire sweep. I couldn't risk that, especially 50%. That's just too much damage in a matchup where Hawlucha has this good of a matchup. So instead of going for that, I'm going with Drain Punch, Acrobatics, Swords Dance, and Substitute. Just a typical sweeping Hawlucha set. And actually, Acrobatics does a lot of damage to a lot of things, so I won't necessarily have to go for Drain Punch too much, but I definitely will, because I also will want that health back as well, which would be really nice. So we'll see if we can use Hawlucha well in this matchup, as I'm really hoping I can. Its EV spread's just going to be 252 in attack with an Adamant Nature to hit as hard as possible, 236 in speed, so it can outspeed everything barring Noivern, and then the rest was just dumped in defense, so I can maybe live things like a Drapion's Pursuit, so I can maybe not have my sub broken by like knockoffs coming off of Drapion, knockoff coming off of Scizor, and maybe a few other attacks as well. So I'm hoping we can use Hawlucha very well, and that we can avoid it just getting knocked out early in the game and not being able to do, because I really do need Hawlucha, aka Libre, to be our mid-game to late-game sweeper. So hopefully we can get that all accomplished. Next is going to be Steelix, aka Jossum, and Steelix is going to have a pretty alright matchup in this game. Definitely not the best, but it's alright, and we definitely needed Steelix for threats like Arcanine and other physical threats. Scizor especially. Scizor doesn't do anything to Steelix, so I like that a lot against my opponent's team. So Steelix is going to have a move pool of Gyro Ball, Earthquake, Stealth Rocks, and Roar. I'm hoping we can get off Stealth Rocks decently early in the game so we can get that residual damage on my opponent's team. Roar is to avoid Trick Room going up from the Porygon 2, so that threats like Snorlax and Hariyama can't just kind of plow through our team with a Trick Room up, because they really do have a good matchup, as my slower threats aren't that offensive and my faster threats are frail. So definitely want to avoid Trick Room getting up, so I think Roar is good to avoid that. especially because Steelix will be my main switching into those Pokemon. And then on top of that, I also Roar is also good because it also forces more switching. And if we already have rocks up, then we can get that really nice residual damage on my opponent's team. Still, Ground actually has a pretty decent matchup offensively as well, so I did make sure to invest a decent bit in attack so that Steelix wasn't too passive. So we do have 108 invested into attack, 156 in defense with a relaxed nature, so to be as slow as possible, as I don't want. If Trick Room does get up, I do want Steelix to be very slow and be able to still be able to go faster than maybe some of my opponent's slow threats. And then 244 in HP to maximize a decent bit on the defensive bulk. And once again, Rocky Helmet, so that things like Scissor going for U-turns and other Pokemon like that really don't have the most fun time doing that. And yeah, I think we can use Steelix well this week. I'm hoping we can at least get up Stealth Rocks because that'll be huge for us, and then avoid Trick Room getting up because that would also be huge. Next is going to be Tentacle, aka Medusa, and Tentacle is going to be rocking out with an Air Balloon and a Moople of Scald, Giga Drain, Acid Spray, and Toxic Spite. So the reason Tentacle has an Air Balloon is because Tentacle is one of the few Pokemon I actually feel comfortable leading against my opponent's team. I kept going back and forth. I wanted to throw an Ice Beam somewhere in this Moople just in case Noivern is led, and that Noivern just goes for just leads in as Life Orb and goes for like a Hurricane. I really don't have the best switch-ins to that, and if I had Ice Beam on Tentacle, then it can tank out one definitely with 120 base special defense, and then it can proceed to knock out Noivern with an Ice Beam. But there's a chance Noivern's not brought, and there's the chance that that it might just switch out. You never know what your opponent might do. So I thought Air Balloon was best just because I can easily, even more so than Noivern, I can see Seismitoad being the lead for my opponent to get rocks up against a team that is heavily reliant on a fire type. And I liked Air Balloon to avoid Seismitoad from being able to just go for an Earthquake and get off heaps of damage against my Tentacle right off the bat, as I do think Tentacle is one of our best ways of dealing with Arcanine. So I really don't want to just allow Tentacle to just have so much health gone right away. So Air Balloon, pretty much what it does is it disallows Seismitoad from winning the 1v1 of Tentacle and Seismitoad, because with the Rindo Berry, Seismitoad can definitely live one Giga Drain very easily, but then after I pop the Rindo Berry, if my opponent's busy knocking my Air Balloon off, then I can continue to then from there, I can continue to apply offensive pressure rather than being on the defensive end without an Air Balloon and my health being at 12 and Seismitoad only losing its Rindo Berry. So I like that a lot. And the EV spread on Tentacle is going to be 220 in speed to outspeed everything it can, 252 in special attack to still be as offensive as possible, because Acid Spray Scald is actually really good in this matchup on all of my opponent's slower threats other than Snorlax. Snorlax still tanks it. And then 28 in defense, we can take hopefully some Arcanine's Flare Blitz a little bit better than I may be thinking now. And Air Balloon's also nice in case my opponent brings like a Bulldoze Arcanine, which actually would be a pretty cool option because it not only hits Tentacle super effective, but it also makes it slower than Arcanine, so that you can continue to go for more. But Air Balloon will also prevent that if we still have it intact at that point. So pretty cool Tentacle set. Next is going to be Fable, aka Wanda, and Clefable is going to be rocking out with a set of Life Orb with Magikarp, and then a Moople of Moonblast, Flamethrower, Soft Boiled, and Toxic. So the reason Clefable is Life Orb is because looking at my opponent's team, other than Arcanine, what wants to switch in on the combination of Moonblast, Flamethrower? Literally nothing. And what the Life Orb allows me to do is not take residual Life Orb damage because of the fact that I am Magikarp, and then it also allows me to not have to invest in special attack but still do a good amount of damage. So I thought that really made a lot of sense to me, and I really wanted to make sure that I knocked out Noivern with my Moonblast, and it definitely does with the Life Orb. But yeah, there's literally nothing, I guess, other than maybe like Snorlax and Scissor mind switching it on Moonblast, but Scissor doesn't like switching it on Flamethrower, so it's pretty much just Snorlax that can switch in decently on the combination of these two moves. Oh, and Arcanine. Snorlax and Arcanine, but both of those two I can predict coming in and go for a Toxic. So I think Wanda has a really good matchup, and that's why I decided to go with the Life Orb, just to capitalize on the offensive pressure that a Fairy type with fire coverage can, or even HP fire. I like fire coverage a little bit better to do more damage in case you get the prediction wrong, and just be able to apply a lot of offensive pressure on my opponent's team. The EV spread is going to maximize on the HP with 252 in HP, but then it's 92 in defense with a bold nature, so I can take on Arcanine and other threats that hit decently hard, even defensive, but not crazy hard. So I like the 92 in defense with a bold nature, and then 164 in special defense allows me to be able to switch in on Noivern's Hurricane and not just get 2-hit KO'd. So I like that as well. Then next is going to be Pandora, aka Mega Absol, and my contact's giving me issues now, so sorry guys. But yes, Pandora is next. Mega Absol has a pretty good matchup, nothing overwhelming as threats like Scissor, and Arcanine, and they don't really have the worst matchup, but a lot of other stuff really doesn't want to take on Mega Absol, and I'm hoping we can use it well. Obviously, Mew will likely have its Z Crystal, so that means no knocking off the item, so I do have to factor in that that's going to do less damage than I would normally expect it to do against a Mew. But either way, I feel like if Mew didn't have its Z Crystal, then didn't have a Colbur Berry, and I think that would actually do even less than having its Z move. So hopefully we're still able. I don't go for like a knockoff on Mew early in the game, doesn't kill, and then Mew goes for something like a Signal Beam and just knocks us out. So hopefully we can avoid something like that happening. Hopefully we can knock off a lot of items, and hopefully Pandora can be used more so in the latter end of the game, because threats like Arcanine and even Scissor, they kind of need to be worn down a decent bit before Mega Absol can do too much damage. So I'm hoping they're already worn down so that Mega Absol can really just run through the rest of the team. The EV spread on Mega Absol is going to be, why did I go with Pressure? Should have went with Pressure. I should have went with Justified. Oh, I really should have went with Justified. That was a bad. My ability should definitely be Justified, but I'm pretty sure that in game it is going to be Pressure. So that is a mistake on my part. Switching in on a Drapion's knockoff actually wouldn't be the worst, so it should be Justified in my opinion, but hopefully it doesn't make too much of a difference. Mega Absol is going to have 252 in its attack with an Adamant Nature, because I really want to hit a lot of things hard. This does mean though that we do underspeed a fully speed invested Mew, and we also underspeed Noivern of course as well, so that's something that I will have to be aware of, because if Mew is fully invested in speed, then we will have to go for Sucker Punch rather than knockoff to be able to hit it super effectively with a hard hitting Dark type move. And obviously with Magic Bounce I don't really have to worry about getting T-waved or anything with my opponents predicting a Sucker Punch, because of the fact that Magic Bounce will just bounce it back onto them, and that won't be the best thing. But yes, 252 in attack with an Adamant Nature to hit as hard as possible, especially with those Sucker Punches. 44 in defense to maybe take some defensive hits a little bit better. Really still doesn't do the best because it's just so frail, but hopefully a little bit better. And maybe live a hit we wouldn't have otherwise. And then 212 in speed to outspeed everything else it can outspeed with an Adamant Nature, so not bad at all. And then the last member of the team is going to be our boy Victini, aka Vigilant. And Victini is going to be rocking out with a Choice Scarf, obviously the ability of Victory Star to make its moves more accurate, and then a move set of Blue Flare, Psychic, Focus Blast, and Trick. So the reason Victini has Choice Scarf is because in one of my mock battles, I lost a Speed Titan Mew that was decently costly, really not that costly, but decently costly. So I definitely want to avoid Speed Titan Mew, as that can definitely be an issue. Second, I wanted something that actually outsped Noivern on my team, as you never really want your opponent to just have one Pokemon that outright outspeeds your entire, unless your team's like Hard Tricker, which you never really see in Draft League format, but you never really want your opponent's team to have one Pokemon that's just faster than your entire team without a Scarf. You never want that to be the deal, because that's just speed is the most important stat in Pokemon, so that's just allowing them to have that edge way too nicely over you. So I also ended up, and initially Victini wasn't Scarf, so I ended up switching into that because I like it. I do think, and Victini is going to be special, and I think special Victini actually puts a lot of pressure on my opponent's team. I did debate U-turn over Trick a lot, but U-turn can just get me into a hole if my opponent runs Rocky Helmet Arcanine, whereas Scarf with like just going for Psychics and Focus Blast and Blue Flares, that's going to do a ton of damage to the entirety of my opponent's team. The only thing is I really wanted to run Specs, because Specs is able to 2-hit KO Porygon 2, with Focus Blast, but yeah, this Scarf one will not be able to do that. But if I'm able to trick on a Scarf onto Porygon 2 onto Snorlax, that'd be beautiful, and it'd really hurt their viability in this matchup that we have here. But yeah, Victini's EV spread is going to be 252 in special attack with a modest nature to hit as hard with that Scarf as possible. 68 in speed to outspeed everything on my opponent's team, barring Scarfs. And then 156 in defense to be able to live a pursuit from Drapion. I live it pretty comfortably, as I also have to factor in rocks as well. So to be able to live a Drapion's pursuit and switch in on rocks, and then 28 in HP to also further help the bulk of Victini. I also wanted special defense to not be too passive, so the investing a little bit in the HP stat rather than just directly into defense helps with that. So that's going to be the team going into the game. We're relying heavily on Hawlucha as a mid to late game sweeper. We're hoping that we can get up rocks and toxic spikes, especially if Drapion is not brought with the toxic spikes to wear down my opponent's team a lot. We're hoping Wanda can really do a lot of damage with its fairy typing and a life orb, and that it can kind of throw my opponents off with a set like that, and hopefully we can catch Scissor on a switch into it with a flamethrower. We're hoping Mega Absol can bring the heat and knock off a lot of items and just do a lot of damage. Hopefully also be a mid to late game sweeper like Hawlucha. And then we are hoping that Victini can clean up threats like Noivern and some other things and kind of catch my opponents off. Kind of catch my opponent off guard if she was expecting a more physically inclined Victini rather than a special defense inclined one. So I like the team. I'm hoping we can use it well. We don't have the best matchup, but this is kind of what our team is this season. I definitely think I'm going to look a little into some transactions and see what we can do here, because my team does kind of put me in a bind that I don't really like being in at all. But I'm hoping we brought a good enough team building threat. I feel like I'll have to play out my opponents. I'll play my opponents a good bit to win games with this team, but I feel like we brought the team to where we can do that. So the battle goes up tomorrow. Definitely make sure you guys don't miss it. Thank you for watching the team builder. I will say in the battle to watch this team builder, so I really do appreciate you guys watching the team builder. And let's have a very fun week one and hope that we can get a win, as that's what we're here for. We're here to take lives. We're not here to make friends. Now we're here to make friends as well, but hopefully we can do both simultaneously. But I'll see you guys in tomorrow for week one of the UBL. Thank you for tuning in. This is Token signing out. Peace.